My parents disinherited me for refusing to have kids. But when I exposed my fiancé's plan to take the family fortune and my dad revealed the shocking truth of parents' decision. I always thought family drama happened in other people's lives, like something you scroll past in a wild Reddit post or see in a cheesy TV show. But then it became my life. Before we dive into this intense story, we have a small favor to ask. Drop a comment below and tell us where you're watching from. It's always incredible to see how far our stories reach. Thank you so much. Now let's dive in. I'm Ethan Reynolds, 31, a project manager at a growing tech firm in Seattle. I've always been the type who thrives on structure. Spreadsheets, timelines, quarterly goals, but somehow, when it came to love, all the planning went out the window the moment I met Samantha Brooks. Samantha is 29, a criminal defense attorney who can flip the switch from soft-spoken to courtroom assassin in the blink of an eye. She's the kind of woman who can dissect legal loopholes over her morning coffee and still have the energy to debate about whether pineapple belongs on pizza. It does, according to her. She's whip-smart, fiercely independent, and has this annoying habit of being right all the time. And I'm still shocked, even now, that she actually said yes when I proposed to her last year. We've been together for 5 years, 5 solid years of late-night movie marathons, spontaneous road trips, shared takeout on the couch, and endless inside jokes that no one else would understand. We live in a sleek 2-bedroom apartment downtown. Big windows, exposed brick, the works. We travel when we can, work jobs we're actually passionate about, and build a life that, by all definitions, is successful. We don't argue about the big stuff. We don't have financial issues. We're not stuck in any way. And, this is the kicker, we're happy. Like, really happy. But apparently that's not enough. Not for my parents. Because to them, legacy is everything. It's not that my parents are bad people, they're just a different breed. My dad, Greg Reynolds, is the textbook definition of self-made billionaire. The man started out flipping houses in his 20s and now owns half the skyline in downtown Seattle. He worked his ass off for everything he has, and he wants that empire to keep going, passed down through bloodlines, just like in the old days. My mom, Vivian Reynolds, grew up in old money. Charity galas, weekend polo matches, the whole 9 yards. Her family name was on buildings before my dad could afford his first mortgage, and together they became a powerhouse couple. The kind you read about in Forbes. For them, the concept of legacy isn't just about money. It's about bloodlines, family trees, photos of smiling grandkids framed in gold on the mantle. So, imagine their horror when, after dating Samantha for 5 years, there were still no baby announcements, no pregnancy scares, no accidental hints that a new Reynolds heir was on the way. They started dropping subtle comments around year 3. Such a nice apartment you two have, plenty of space for, a nursery. By year 4, it wasn't subtle anymore. At my dad's 60th birthday party, right in front of everyone, he clinked his glass and said, "Here's hoping there's a grandson on the way soon. Can't let this legacy die out, right?" I nearly choked on my whiskey. But the worst? The constant, never-ending, "When are we getting grandkids?" At first, Samantha and I laughed it off. We figured classic parents, right? But the older we got, the more aggressive it became. Every family gathering became a subtle interrogation. Every holiday turned into an ambush. "TikTok, Ethan. You're not getting any younger," Mom would say with a polished smile. "You guys have the perfect life. Careers, money, stability. What's stopping you?" Dad would prod. The truth? We just didn't want kids. Not now. Maybe not ever. And apparently that was a crime in my parents' eyes. Because for them, love, happiness, and stability weren't enough. They wanted a future Reynolds heir, and they were willing to do whatever it took to get one. "My brother exists, Dad." "You mean Logan?" He scoffed. "He's gay, Ethan. He's not exactly giving us grandkids either." Samantha's face went pale. I could feel her about to explode, but I grabbed her hand under the table. "Dad, that's not the point," I snapped. "We have careers we love. We're happy. Isn't that enough?" Mom shook her head, her diamond earrings swaying. "It's selfish. Family is everything." That was it. "We don't want kids," I said firmly, "and we're done talking about it." I was in the middle of reviewing a project timeline at work when I saw Dad flash across the screen. A part of me hesitated. I knew this wasn't going to be a friendly chat, but curiosity won. "Hey, Dad," I answered, trying to sound neutral. His voice was sharp, clipped. "Ethan, we need to talk," I sighed, leaning back in my chair. "About what?" "You and Samantha, of course. Look, if this is about the whole kids thing again..." "It is about that," he cut in. "I'm done dancing around it. You and Samantha have made it clear that you're not planning on continuing the family legacy." There was a heavy pause. And I pushed, though my heart was starting to race. And I can't in good conscience leave the company, or any part of the inheritance, to someone who doesn't care about the Reynolds name. I blinked. Wait, are you... I'm cutting you out, Ethan, he said flatly. You and Samantha won't see a cent. If you won't have children, you're breaking the chain. We built this for the future of the family, and apparently you don't care. For a moment I was too stunned to speak, then a laugh bubbled out, raw and real. You're serious? Because I won't have kids, you're cutting me off? It's not personal, he snapped. I barked out another laugh. Oh, it's real personal, Dad. The silence that followed was deafening. I stood there, staring at the blank phone screen, adrenaline still surging through me. I was pissed. At my dad, the pressure, the idea that money could be used like a leash. But deep down, there was also this weird, gnawing feeling I couldn't shake. It started when I heard the soft click of the apartment door and Samantha's heels on the hardwood. Everything okay? She asked, her voice light but cautious. They cut me off, I muttered, not looking up. What? Are you serious? I nodded. Inheritance, family trust, all of it? Gone. Samantha's eyes widened, but she recovered fast, forcing a shrug. Well, screw them. We didn't need their money anyway. But her voice wavered, just enough for me to notice. I let out a deep breath, feeling the weight of it all. Still, this changes things. We can't invite them to the wedding. Not after this. I don't want that energy anywhere near us. She hesitated, for just a split second, before nodding. Agreed. And that was that. We had been planning the wedding for months. A lakeside ceremony, nothing over the top but still beautiful, surrounded by friends, not family drama. It was supposed to be a celebration of us, not a legacy parade for my parents. We'd chosen everything together, the venue, the menu, even the playlist. It was going to be our day, simple, elegant, and completely free of the people who tried to control our lives. Samantha had always been ambitious. It was one of the things I loved about her. She was a criminal defense attorney, sharp as hell, and never afraid to say exactly what she thought. But after that call, something shifted. I started noticing little things I hadn't before, like how, when we first started dating, she asked a lot of questions about my family. At the time, I thought she was just curious. I mean, I would be too if I were dating someone with old money. Or how, when we toured apartments, she'd only light up for the ones with skyline views, penthouses, and floor-to-ceiling windows, places way out of my pay grade unless family money was involved. Back then, I chalked it up to her high standards, but now I see it differently. A week after the call with my dad, we were sitting in our living room, surrounded by wedding plans, flower samples, catering menus, all of it spread out across the coffee table. Samantha was unusually tense, flipping through the venue options like she was in a race. Maybe we should reconsider the guest list, she murmured, barely looking at me. I frowned. We already finalized it. I know, but... She hesitated. Your parents. What if you just talk to them again? One more time. I stared at her. After they literally disowned me over having kids? She forced a laugh. Too brittle to be real. It's a lot of money, Ethan. You're really okay walking away from it? There it was. The crack. I tried to play it cool. I thought we didn't care about that. She hesitated. I mean, it's not about the money. It's about the future, stability. You can't even say that with a straight face. She didn't answer. After that, I started noticing more. The secretive texts when she thought I wasn't looking. The heated phone calls she'd take on the balcony, always lowering her voice when I walked by. I remembered the time, about a year into dating, when we passed a luxury car dealership, and she casually said, I always imagined marrying someone who could afford something like that. I thought it was a joke. Now, it felt like a clue I missed. I started piecing together the moments, tiny, insignificant at the time, where she seemed more invested in the life I could offer her rather than the life we had. It all came to a head 2 nights before our rescheduled wedding. I overheard her on the phone in the kitchen. I wasn't eavesdropping, I swear, but she was on speaker, and I caught the tail end of her sentence. And if the inheritance was still on the table, this would have been a different conversation. I froze. I stepped into the kitchen and she whipped around, wide-eyed. Who are you talking to? I asked, trying to keep my voice calm. Just Lucy, she lied too fast. You mean Lucy, who's at her bachelorette party in Vegas right now? Her face crumbled. Ethan, you've been pushing me to fix things with my parents, not because you wanted peace, but because you wanted the damn money. You've been pushing me to fix things with my parents, not because you wanted peace, but because you wanted the damn money, I snapped, my voice sharp, cutting through the tense silence in the kitchen. Samantha's face twisted for a split second, guilt, panic, and frustration all flickering across it, before she schooled her expression back into something calmer. But I saw it. I saw everything in that moment. "Ethan, that's not fair," she started, but I cut her off. "No, don't spin this." I stepped forward, slamming my phone onto the counter. "I heard you on the call, Sam. If the inheritance was still on the table, this would have been a different conversation." My voice cracked with rage. A different conversation about what? Us? The wedding? Having kids? She opened her mouth, then closed it, swallowing hard. That's when it hit me. I felt my throat go dry. You're the one who first said we shouldn't have kids right now." She froze. "We talked about it over dinner that night, and you laid it out so perfectly. We're both career-focused. Kids would just get in the way. You framed it like it was our decision, but it wasn't, was it?" Her silence was deafening. "You didn't want kids, not because you didn't want them, but because you thought I'd get the inheritance anyway. No strings attached. And when my parents made it conditional," I trailed off, realization slamming into me, "you started pushing for me to fix it." "I was thinking about us, Ethan," she finally hissed. "Our future, our stability. It wasn't just about the money." "Bullshit," I barked. "You manipulated me. You made me think we were on the same page about everything. The wedding, the future. But all this time you were playing some long game to secure the bag." She didn't deny it. Not fully. "Ethan, think about what we could have had," she whispered. "You gave up millions. For what? Pride?" "No," I said, voice cold as ice. "For integrity, something you clearly know nothing about." There was a long, heavy pause. And then I made the call. "I'm canceling the wedding." Her face crumbled. "You don't mean that?" "I do, and I should have seen it sooner." I walked out of the apartment, slamming the door behind me, heart racing, head spinning, feeling like the last 5 years of my life had been a carefully constructed lie. The worst part? She made me question everything. The next morning, I called the venue and canceled everything. No drama, no explanation. I was done. Samantha moved out within the week, leaving behind a few empty hangers, a single coffee mug she forgot in the sink, and a hollow ache in my chest that I couldn't shake. I thought that would be the end of it. But then my phone rang. "Dad." I hesitated before answering, my finger hovering over the screen. I didn't have the energy for another lecture, but curiosity, or maybe some twisted need for closure, got the better of me. "Hey," I answered flatly. "Ethan?" Dad's voice rumbled on the other end, surprisingly softer than I expected. "I heard about the wedding, and Samantha." Of course he heard. Country club gossip probably spread the news before the ink was dry on the cancellation forms. "Yeah, it's done," I muttered. There was a long pause before he spoke again. "You made the right choice." I let out a bitter laugh. "Right, I bet you're thrilled. No gold digger daughter-in-law and no more grandkid debates." But his response caught me off guard. "That's not why I'm calling, Ethan." I frowned, gripping the phone tighter. "Then why?" "I was wrong," he admitted, the words sounding foreign coming from him, "about a lot of things." Now that was new. "You were willing to cut me off because I wouldn't have kids," I shot back, the anger still raw. "I thought the legacy was all that mattered," he admitted. "But seeing how she played you made me realize it wasn't about the kids. It was about control, about me trying to dictate your life the way I thought it should go." I didn't know what to say. "Maybe kids weren't the problem," Dad continued. "It was the way I tried to force the issue, and how I didn't trust you to make your own decisions." I let out a shaky breath. "Took you long enough to figure that out." He chuckled, low and rough. "I guess it did." There was another pause before he added, "For what it's worth, I'm sorry, and I'm proud of you, not for calling off the wedding, but for seeing through it. Took guts." I felt something loosen in my chest, the years of resentment, the weight of never quite living up to his impossible standards. "Thanks, Dad," I murmured, and for the first time in a long time, I meant it. The whole time I thought it was me against my parents. But maybe it was never about the inheritance, the legacy, or the kids. It was about control. About everyone else trying to write my story for me. Now, I'm finally holding the pen. And this time, I'm writing it my way. Please, drop your thoughts in the comments. Like if you think Ethan made the right call. Comment below. I'm reading every single one, so